Hello everyone, you're listening to Northern Flights, a Park Pro podcast keeping you up to date with the people, tournaments, and culture of disc golf in Canada and beyond. Consider becoming a Patreon today at patreon.com/parkpro. Find us on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Today's episode is brought to you by DiscGolfPark. And now your hosts, Andre, Jesse, and Matt.
Hey, what's up, everyone? This is episode 25 of the Northern Flights podcast, brought to you by DiscGolfPark. Super excited to be here once again. We got a lot to go through in this episode. We have an interview with Darrell Bankes from Innova Canada and a rep for the Foxwood Open, which is part of the Canadian Disc Golf Tour, a tournament that it's happened already, and we are currently working on coverage of. So.
But if the coverage hasn't come out, has it really happened, Andre?
I don't know. Does a tree in the woods fall when no one's around?
If you hit a tree and rethrow your drive, did you actually throw your first drive?
5-second rule.
What does the bear do in this situation?
Deep.
All right. We also have some Canadian tournaments updates, a recap of Zootown, which was interesting, and then just some more discussion topics and a preview of the Dynamic Disc Open. But first, this week in disc golf in our lives. Let's start with Matt this time. We usually start with Jesse. Matt, you been able to get out, play much disc golf?
Got out to the local course for a little weekend round in the haze and the smoke. It's summer in Edmonton. If you've never been, it's just the absolute best time of year. The sun is up from like 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. and the weather's usually perfect. And we haven't really had mosquitoes for the last 3 years, which, it's slightly concerning, like from an ecosystem perspective, but it's slightly not concerning from an enjoyment of the outdoors perspective. So, and I beat all my friends. So what could be better than that?
No kidding. That's great. Jesse, you get up to much?
Nothing.
No.
I wish I had something exciting to say. I contemplated my throwing putter lineup.
Yeah.
And that's honestly about it.
Well, that's how it goes.
Oh, I should also specify. I took some friends out that were like pretty beginner disc golfers still, and I threw a couple of skip shots, and boy, oh boy, were they impressed, including a skip off of a lake, which blew some minds, and hopefully, doing my part to bring the joys of disc golf to the people.
Perfect. Love it.
Water skip's so sick.
Yeah. With my new Lift Discs Xenon, their version of a Firebirdie type of disc.
Oh,
interesting.
Did you get your hands on the other releases as well, or just this one?
I've got every Lift disc because I am 1/4 Danish myself, and they've got some very interesting discs. The hydrogen putter does exactly what they say it does. It flies straight like a Frisbee. They have an overstable mid, which is similar to the Trust from Latitude 64, but with a kind of a curved, all of their non-putter discs have these curved lips on the wing. So most companies, have a pretty sharp edge. They have sort of beveled off all of their, that I don't even know, what's that part of the disc called? The underside of the rim there.
The rim.
Where Prodigy discs have flashing.
Rim.
What do you call the place where Prodigy has flashing?
Oh,
yeah,
that's so good.
So they're sort of the anti-Prodigy in that sense, and other companies have flashings too. I don't want to poop on Prodigy too much, but they kind of went the other way, and they've curved that part of the disc off. They did it first with the Boreum driver, which is a wacky driver, and their mid and their new 9-speed overstable fairway also have that. And once you get used to it, like, the discs come out real clean. It feels like it would slip out of your hand, but it actually comes out real clean.
Yeah, I've held them in the store, and that was my initial thought, was that it just feels like this thing is just going to slip out of my hand all the time. So
yeah, not the case.
Huh.
Yeah, it takes a little bit of getting. All of their discs take a few throws to get used to. And the Boreum is the only one that I wouldn't have in my bag. on a regular basis.
Interesting.
I was going to ask about that one because I heard they go forever, but they're very understable.
They go forever. It's honestly, I threw a forehand with that Boreum further than I've ever thrown a forehand with any disc ever. But they're very, I think the aerodynamics of it, and I'm no physicist or physician, but I think that part of the disc has something to do with the stability and also the glide, because they advertise it as a very glidey disc. And I think that's true because with a tailwind, they're unbelievable bombers and they're pretty stable. But with any amount of headwind, they're uncontrollably flippy. So whatever it is that they've done with that sort of curved out bottom side of the rim, it just accentuates the glide characteristic of the disc. So but do you want to keep a driver in your bag just for tailwinds?
Well, I am a physician, you see, and the wing of the disc is like an airfoil, much like a spoiler on a car. And you see, I'm not going to do this, but I could. I can actually go pretty ham on that.
Spoiler alert, Jesse.
But yeah, that's very common that you'll see a much more aggressive angle in the concave part of the wing on overstable discs. And you can actually see this exact effect for people at home. The Eagle X versus the Eagle L from Innova, if you look at it. The X comes to a sharp point and is very concave, and the L does the exact thing that this Boreum disc is talking about, where it starts to round back out right around the bottom edge of the wing. Not as aggressively as these loft disc ones, but it's exactly what it does. It becomes a less aggressive airfoil, deflects less air, and becomes less stable, but also more glidey.
Cool.
Crazy. There you go. Science with Jesse.
I would compare it to the disc that it reminds me of the most, and believe me, I don't mean this in a bad way, is the groove. And I think it has to do that they both have wacky undersides, but it flies just like a groove where it's like weirdly understable sometimes, but it gets huge flare skips at the end of its flight.
Interesting.
Yeah. So if you're a groove lover, check out the Boreum from Luft.
For all the groove lovers listening, I think we probably have more American listeners than groove lover listeners.
I know Dave Hohalter throws a groove.
Does he actually?
And he crushes with it.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Because there are like, oh God, tangent time. There are like good grooves and bad grooves. And I have no idea if it has something to do with how that wing cools, that you get much more erratic characteristics out of them. Just like, that one run of Destroyer that's super overstable versus super flippy. And apparently if you can get the like holy grail run of grooves, they're just like really good Destroyers. But it's less than 5% of total production.
Wait, hold on. I'm getting a phone call. It's Guinness. Hang on. That is the first time anybody has said the words holy grail run of grooves. You won a Guinness record, Jesse. Congratulations.
Oh, I feel like I'm stacking them up on the podcast.
How about you, Andre? What was your weekend disc golf?
I had a great weekend of disc golf, and just generally kind of family time. So first of all, Juniper took her first few steps, which is, that's one step closer to throwing a disc on a course. So, very exciting. And then I just kind of, yeah, thank you. I wanted this to be a discussion topic, and I think we should maybe we'll just get right into it here. So I'll tell you the story about what happened. So I take Juniper out. She's almost a year old and obviously still requires naps. And so I took her out to Radium, which is a new course. And you kind of walk through the whole course. It kind of follows this creek, and I was trying to get her to nap. And so then I walked to the very back side, and she still didn't nap. And I just thought to myself, well, she's probably not going to nap, but I'm just going to start throwing anyway. So I started on hole 8 at Radium. And it's this whole, I don't know, it's like it's a pretty straightforward shot. If you look straight down the gut, there's a gap about, I'd say 120 feet off the tee. That's like about 40 feet wide that you have to hit on a right hand backhand line. Or there's this giant gap way off to the left, which you can hit with a forehand. or an Anheuser backhand, and I want to say it's like 275.
Stop looking at me because I don't know any of the holes by number.
And it's and then the basket is up on this bit of a hill towards the end of that.
Oh, is this the hole that has no line?
No, it's the hole after that. You have to do the walk, and then it's with the basket.
It's like
up.
the first one when you hit the field.
Yeah, so it's the one
the best hole on the course. Okay, yeah,
it's great. And I always threw the wide gap to the left, either with a backhand or forehand. And I just thought to myself, you know what? First throw, I'm just gonna have fun. I'm just gonna try to hit that gap with the main gap with the backhand. And I throw it, and I'm like, oh yeah, that felt really good out of my hand. And then I kid you not, this is exactly how the throw went in my head. I was like, that felt really good out of my hand. And I thought, oh yeah, perfect. I missed that tree, not by much, but I missed it. And I was like, this is kind of like, this is the line. It's going to be parked. And there's like, this actually has a chance to go in. And I was like, of course, no one's going to be here if it goes in. And then I was like, whoa, this actually might go in. Oh, this is going in. And then it, bam, hits chains. I'm just like, are you kidding me? And I look around, not a soul in sight except my 1-year-old.
I was gonna say,
So
does
you
your
had a
daughter
witness.
not have a soul?
Yeah. It's just it was pretty comedic because like I passed a bunch of people walking to this hole and just no one, and it's kind of an open area where the basket is, so even if people are walking down to get to the park, like there should be somewhere there. You rarely do you go there and you not see anyone walking. So it's just very funny how it happened. But yeah, so I got I think my 3rd ace of all time. So my question here is, it kind of goes back towards that if a
Tree in the woods.
tree in the
situation.
woods. So I know that I got an ace, but do you guys count aces that aren't witnessed towards your ace count, or I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yes. The only aces that aren't aces in my book are cubby aces when you've had multiple attempts off the same tee. I don't care if it's a tournament round, casual round, you're alone, sanctioned play, league play, whatever. As long as you haven't thrown that hole back to back, it's an ace.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Your daughter hasn't the capacity to form memories yet, so the memory only lives in your head. Therefore, maybe you hallucinated it without a second witness to verify it. Did it really exist? I mean, we could go into Schrodinger's cat if you really want to. Maybe it happened and it didn't happen in a superposition of quantum states, but no, you have 2 aces.
I see. I disagree. And
How do you close the window where Matt is?
It's one of those things where I think if people like Matt is, hopefully he's not actually
I'm
kidding.
dead serious.
Dead
You
serious.
didn't ace it. Go back and throw it again. No,
Yeah,
of course
perfect.
it counts.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is, like, if anyone wants to argue against it and say, well, you can't count that, I'll just, you know what? If they don't want to count it, they don't have to count it. I'm counting in my head. I know what happened. I got a picture of the disc in the basket, which is, I mean, something, but
Next time, do what I did with my first and only ace. Grab your phone, start recording a video from the tee pad, walk all the way up to the basket, grab your disc, and then if anybody, some jerk on a podcast, gives you a hard time about it, whip out the video.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, it's not too hard to put just place a disc in the basket and recreate that. But anyways, that was my story. And so it was funny because the ace happened on the same day that Juniper took her first few steps. So it was just kind of like a huge day.
Big day for Daddy Andre. That's amazing. What a day.
Totally. But let us know in the comments, if you have a really cool ace story, or, what your opinion is on counting aces towards your ace count. So
a friend of mine got an ace on a second shot, and there was a whole bunch of people watching because it was near the first, like it was sort of close to where the first tee is at Rundle. And so all these people around were just going nuts. And I yelled out, "Second shot doesn't count." Because I'm a good friend like that.
Yeah. That's awesome.
It's an ace. Ace means 1. If it's your second shot, it's not a 1. I think we can all agree on that.
That would be a re-tee for 3.
Yeah, it's a great part.
Easy par.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. Let's get into it. We're gonna give you a little bit of a Park Pro update here. What?
I went to Parson and played up the creek with Bogdan
yeah,
on
yeah,
Sunday and
right.
forgot about that whole day.
Why did the round go that bad?
No. I must have some work stress right now. Nothing too exciting. We had a great time. Got to show him the course for the first time. Had a nice hike up and down the hill. Almost did the slip and slide. It was right there. It was pretty hot out, but couldn't go for the soggy bum ride home in the car.
Always got to bring a spare pair of underwear in your car.
Yeah, these are my travel underwear for the slip and slide.
Exactly.
But no, I don't have a big long story. Unfortunately, we just had a nice fun guys being dudes, casual around together, and went home after.
Yeah. That's
Bogdan Safranowicz, winner MP40 at the Big Bear Open.
Yeah. And I thought he won MP40 in Fernie as well. Did he?
I actually don't know.
I don't know.
Wouldn't surprise me. The guy
Off
can
the top of my
chuck
head.
discs.
Yeah. Fernie's a distant past memory for me.
Yeah. I don't have to linger on it too much, but staple of the community and one of the most unique forms for throwing that I've ever seen in disc golf.
We got to get the slow-mo camera on him one day and preserve it for the Smithsonian or whatever the Canadian version of the Smithsonian is.
Yes.
You need some vintage footage when he had his long hair.
Oh, yeah, it's the best.
Yeah, hair everywhere, hat flying around, legs up in the air. Very good.
Yard sale throw is how best to describe it, I think.
Yeah, his body is Matty O's sunglasses.
Yeah. That's some good imagery. So we have a Park Pro update here. We have obviously the Foxwood Open and Big Bear Classic we're working on for coverage. They are sort of in the editing can, as they say, and we're getting pretty close to being done the rough cut of Foxwood, and then we're on to Big Bear. And then we'll have photos from Big Bear Classic up soon, thanks to Liam Herberg. He took a bunch of photos while we were filming, and not just of the pro divisions, but of all of the divisions. So we'll have those up, and you should be able to purchase those as well on our. There should be a link on our website, parkpro.com. And then we updated the leaderboard of the Canadian Disc Golf Tour. It's on cdgt.ca. And no surprise on the MPO side, we have Thomas Gilbert because of his 2 wins. He is currently leading the MPO division. And I believe Noah is in second and Casey in third. I think that's kind of how it breaks out.
Oh, so I have a question.
What's that?
Because we have 2 conferences. Thomas has a win in each one. Are the players themselves conference locked, or is there a certain amount of events that count towards your points? Is there a cap? How does it all work out?
This is a great question, Jesse. So we've kind of gone back and forth on this. We have decided it's the Canadian Disc Golf Tour. So for a points perspective and a national championship perspective, we are going to be using all events coast to coast to determine the MPO and FPO Canadian Disc Golf Tour champions this year. We will probably break out some prizing on a regional basis, East and West. We have 5 events that we consider Western events, and then we have 4 events that we'd consider Eastern events, but one of those events, Canadian Nationals, is worth double points as a major. So the points are sort of roughly equally spread from East and West. We are counting Winnipeg as East, just because not a lot of people are going to Winnipeg from the Western provinces.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. Very cool.
Yeah, and I mean, it's kind of like you said. Our points will total for the whole tour, but there will be prizes in each sort of division.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
additional prizes, I should say. And I did make a mistake. Casey Hannemeyer is in second and Noah is in third. And then rounding out our top 5 in the MPO division is Kyle Wiens and Max Regitnik. So both of them obviously taking a second place finish in their respective tournaments, which would have been Big Bear and Tournament Capital Open. So, and on the FPO side, Despite not winning an event, Terry Hong is our current FPO leader with 118 points, and then it's a 3-way tie for second between Chantel Budinsky, Julie Mons, and Emily Gaglin.
That hurt.
I don't know. I didn't want to give it a
C'est
good-
français, Gaglin.
Gaglin. And then there is a tie for fifth between Gabby Lee and Colleen McInnes. Did I get the McInnes one right this time?
Yes.
Nice.
Did you say McKines last time? Maybe?
I did say McKines last time.
McKines French fries.
Yeah.
Pretty bummed Terry Hong is dropped out of nationals, and I was excited to see how'd she do because her game is really coming along. She's a hell of a thrower, and yeah, but she's run into some injury problems. So
No way.
Really unfortunate.
Yep.
Oh well, I mean that's how it goes. It's part of the sport. So
Yeah, maintenance on your body is a big thing that not a lot of people pay enough attention to.
yeah. So if you've played in any of the pro divisions on the Canadian Disc Golf Tour in any of the events, go check out where you stand at cdgt.ca, or if you want to see where your friends are, and yeah, let us know
Tied
what you
for
think.
last, baby. Let's go.
Well, let's see where you are. Let's just
Hey, you
keep
scrolled past
scrolling.
me.
Did I?
I'm not last. I'm 44th. Let's go.
not even close to last.
Yeah, there you go.
I got 2 points at each one for participation.
Yeah, exactly.
And good looks.
Oh, which points are for participation and which ones are for good looks then?
One point for each. 1 point for showing up. 1 point for showing up. Styling.
Yeah.
Oh, I am super excited for Liam's pictures, even if they're terrible, just to like have my outfits immortalized with those goofy things I was wearing at Big Bear.
Yeah.
The shine,
Yeah,
what was better? The
even if
shiny
you're not
blue
in the
pants?
pictures, check out the pictures just to see Jesse in his. It was almost like a French night suit, but shorts instead of long pants.
Oh God, yeah, the green on green on green with the matching bucket hat. That was quality.
Amazing.
Yeah. All right, and we can move on to some Canadian tour. We had a B tier out in Quebec this past weekend, and I will let someone else say the name of this one.
La bataille des voltigeurs. What does that say? Yeah, something like that. The
Yeah.
battle of the voltigeurs, whatever those are.
Yeah. And winning in the MPO division is Charles Blanchet, and Hubert Vachon.
Vachon.
Hubert Vachon. You don't pronounce the H. Hubert Vachon.
Gotcha.
Cédric Gilbert.
There you go. Cedric Gilbert finished third.
No, Cédric Gilbert.
All right, and I'll let you guys announce these ones.
Whoa, what is the MP40 last name? That's nothing. Zhangao.
Jacques Sangao.
That's like a French Chinese guy. Very cool.
Yeah. He takes the MP40 division, finishing second, Hugo Lefebvre. And in third, Michel Bergeron.
Yep.
And then FPO division, we had Karen Martel take down the win with Julie Besson finishing second and Daphne Broudur finishing third.
Yeah, shout out to Karen. She's been doing the thing in the Montreal area, I believe, for a long time. She's with Thought Space Athletics this year.
Very cool. And then we do have, do you guys have anything else on that tournament? You know much about it?
No, I'm familiar with a few of the Quebec events, but not this one.
Yeah, this one took place in Drummondville, Quebec. So
Famous for having like a minor hockey tournament there.
yeah,
Fun facts with Jesse, but
there you go. All right, and this upcoming weekend we also have a B tier. It's the Greater Niagara Open. So obviously this one taking place in Niagara Falls at the Fireman's Park Disc Golf Course. And yeah, I don't know much about what's going on out there, but
oh, I know one of the courses in Niagara is apparently the like scariest disc golf course in Canada.
oh really?
Oh yeah, like heroin needles on the ground, crazy stuff. So This should be a fun one. Extra hazards.
There you go. It seems like it's
I don't-
mostly.
I would just go with like rocks and trees, but hey, course design is taking a new direction in 2023, I guess.
This is where you hit him with the disc golf park ad read. And you can fix up your Arrow Needle Park.
Yeah. Reach out to your local disc golf park representative.
Hey, just so you know, the minor hockey team in Drummondville are called, you guessed it, the Voltigeurs.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What is a Voltigeur?
It's a French military skirmish unit created in 1804 by Emperor Napoleon that replaced the second company of fusiliers in each existing infantry battalion. I just know this off the top of my head.
Yeah, not reading anything.
You guys didn't study French military history like I did, I guess, but
yeah.
I was thinking it was a Quebecois way to say electrician, but here we are.
Love it. I was gonna say this seems like it's mostly an amateur event. There are 12 people registered in the pro divisions with
but those pros are pros.
Yeah, that's gonna be pretty good on the MPO side. So.
Andrew Leyland is a legit. Cam Zanini, I think, is now a multiple-time USDGC participant and a very good player. And Greg Grutenbar is probably the best MP50 player in. I was gonna stretch it to North America. That's pretty disrespectful to Johnny McRae, but he's always playing MPO or MP40, even though I believe he's broken that 50 mark.
Yeah,
and he is legit as they come.
Nice,
and a super nice guy too.
Yeah, yeah, and there are 2 people currently registered in FPO as well, and then a few in MP40 and MP50. So we will have the results from that one on our next episode of Northern Flights. Cool.
Do you have metrics on where our listeners are from? Are we like a Western Canada guy podcast, or do some of these Eastern folk listen in?
I think a few people from Eastern. We don't get stats on provinces as far as I know. I think it's mostly Canadian and American kind of thing.
I see.
And then we go from there. But you kind of brought it up earlier. Let's talk about DiscGolfPark. DiscGolfPark, first of all, is the sponsor of this show, Northern Flights, and we're very happy to have them on board. And DiscGolfPark is a unique disc golf course concept developed in Finland in 2005. It is based on the idea of building sports facilities in an environmentally friendly way. DiscGolfPark provides great experiences for players of all skill levels, from beginners to professionals. Our main ideology is to introduce disc golf to new audiences. There are several options to suit any kind of course, and all official disc golf parks include professional and safe course design, Disc Golf Park Pro targets, tee pads and tee signs, and an info board to welcome players to your course. The Disc Golf Park World concept consists of multiple courses designed for different types of players. Multi-golf is a new, fun activity for the whole family, and in multi-golf, 3 forms of golf are played: foot golf, disc golf, and park-style pitch and putt. School Disc Golf Park offers students a new and exciting form of exercise for physical education classes. A course suitable for schools can be designed even in a small area, for instance, a schoolyard. Furthermore, the costs of school disc golf park are lower than those of regular disc golf parks. We also offer private and group lessons or clinics. For more information, check out the website at discgolfpark.com and request a quote today. Boom. There you go. All right, I think this is probably a good time to bring in our interview with Darrell. So, without further ado, Darrell Bankes from Innova Canada. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have a very special guest today. We have Darrell Bankes from Innova Canada. He's got numerous roles. He wears many hats. He's a designer, a course designer, course builder, and obviously he's with Innova Canada. But he's also runs events, leagues, you name it, and obviously he's one of the main minds behind the big A tier we had out in Ontario just a couple of weeks ago, the Foxwood Open. So, welcome to the show, Darrell.
Well, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure. Yeah, the Foxwood Open was an awesome event.
Yeah, totally. And we'll get to that in a little bit, but we should let our listeners and viewers get to know you a little bit. So, tell us about how you first got involved in disc golf and how you sort of came to be involved with Innova.
Well, it's at least a decade ago now. I live in Peterborough, Ontario, and we have an active disc golf community that I engaged with, shortly after giving up ultimate frisbee. Decided that I had enough of that.
Like many of
And
us.
yeah. Um, and then I really engaged pretty quick. I mean, I'm a landscape architect by profession, and I'm sort of self-employed most of my life. So I quickly came up with the idea that I think it's time for some commercial pay-to-play disc golf courses, that there's a market for them and the like. So I actually bought a farm and built a disc golf course almost a decade ago now. And it was
Cool.
called Tin Lake Disc Golf.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And is it still up and running?
No, that course closed promptly because zoning bylaws weren't favorable at the time in that area. And the community got a little unhappy with, the riffraff of disc golfers showing up and enjoying themselves walking through a farmer's field. So I ended up having to close that property and then sell that farm, and then moved on since, and taken the same idea and moved it on to different properties and running commercial disc golf courses. So
Cool. Well, we have a bit of a history with, just general course design. Obviously, you're with Innova, but this podcast is sponsored by Disc Golf Park, and obviously a big part of their sort of mandate is in design. So, when did you first get involved? Obviously, it sounds like you got involved with designing your courses right away with the property you had, but like, how many courses have you designed to this point? And yeah, when did you first like really just realize that this was kind of a thing that you wanted to do?
well, it's probably been 8 years now that since I went down and visited Innova down in Rock Hill, the East
Mm-hmm.
Coast office, and made a pitch to them that they needed to have someone working in Canada on their behalf. And at that time, the express goal was to build and design disc golf courses and to help facilitate them. A lot of the
Cool.
times, a lot of my work is more about facilitating disc golf courses and not specifically designing. Is such a tiny part of the process.
Yeah,
It's the part we all talk about and we all love, but there's a heck of a lot more time spent just trying to convince people that it's a good investment.
totally. Yeah, totally understandable.
So, yeah,
Cool.
but so, since I've started, I think in Ontario, I've probably put in well over 30 courses,
Cool.
and a lot of them aren't big. A lot of them are just like 9-hole courses, a few 6-hole courses in schoolyards, and a bunch of, and a few 18-hole courses in there too. But
Mhm.
but they aren't limited to Ontario. And I did a lovely course out in Alberta, up in Fort McMurray last year. That's a fabulous project up there. That's a big
Yeah,
18-hole course with 2 full layouts, and
cool.
Fort McMurray wanted to do it right, so that one's been done up right. Been lucky enough to do another course in Hawaii on the island of Kauai. Been back twice to design that one. That one's really good, and you know,
I actually have a question. I spent a little bit of time in Kauai. Where in Kauai is it located?
it's up in Princeville, up in the North End.
Okay, cool.
So that's
Very cool.
it's a big course. It was built on, and it was originally built on a 9-hole golf course,
Yeah.
part of the 27 holes they have up there at the Princeville Mackay Golf Club.
Nice.
And since we put the disc golf in, they closed that 9-hole course and made it exclusively disc golf and a little bit of passive recreational activities. So I think we designed it probably 3-4 years ago, and then went back two winters ago. I'm thinking now we went back and redesigned the course and put in concrete tees and redid the whole thing. It's a bucket list course. You've
I'll
got
have
to
to.
go there and play a tournament in Kauai and play a lot of the other courses they have there. Got tons of great disc golf on the island of Kauai.
I'll have to. Yeah, it's too bad the last time I was there, I wasn't really into disc golf, so I'll put it back on the list and get out there sometime.
Regarding course facilitating in Canada, what normally ends up being the sticking point? Obviously, we all want more courses everywhere, and close to residential centers is great, but also somewhere on where there's a destination type course. In your experience, though, what's usually the sticking point? Is it money? Is it logistics? Is it zoning, like you said? Is it just sort of getting the people together to do the actual labor? What's usually the sticking point?
In the public realm, it's the desire to actually have the courses. It's convincing municipalities that these are a worthwhile investment and that an investment in disc golf should be treated no differently than an investment in a public playground or a tennis court or, heaven forbid, pickleball courts these days. Where that's the main sticking point for the most part in the public realm, and it's and it's sometimes working with the local disc golfers and easing expectations sometimes is also what's got to happen. Everybody wants to have a big 18-hole course, but if you're in some communities and there just aren't that many people there playing, it's tough to justify the expenditure and the land dedication to a big 18-hole course sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a bit of a balance of some people go with the idea that you can, if you build it, they will come, but municipalities are reactionary. And until there's a good support group that really wants disc golf in the community, then it's tough for them to justify the budget allocation and the land allocation. And unfortunately, in Canada, many of our suburban and urban parks are of a scale that don't really support disc golf all that well. That's why we sometimes get limited to 9-hole courses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Park golf and championship level tournament golf have become, I'd say in the last 5 or 10 years, two very different things. Would you agree? It used to be sort of like a disc golf course was a disc golf course, but we're kind of branching off into two different types of disc golf course now.
Absolutely. There's going to be there's a great need for those recreational courses in the public realm. That's where really nice 9-hole layouts that maybe have 2 baskets and 2 sets of tees so that you automatically have an 18-hole course in one location. That's not, occupying a ton of land. But, that's the problem in public parks. We are still throwing discs. We've all gotten better at throwing discs. So many more of us can throw them 300, 400, 500 feet, some of us. I'm not one of them, but, but they can, I guess so it's tougher to put them into the public parks.
Yeah.
And, and so many more demands on public parks. So that's why we're getting this situation where there's some great public parks that have big 18-hole courses that can handle a championship level, but, our park system is quite different than that in the U.S. They have a much more robust public park system in the U.S. than we do. And just has to do with the fact that their population is spread out and laid out across the landscape a lot differently than it is in Canada.
Yeah, if you've been to Milo McIver Park, you realize that Oregon's definition of a park is very different from a lot of Canada's definition of a park.
Yeah,
definitely.
So
transitioning from design into sort of the other spectrum of what you have gotten into is, running events and running. Obviously, we're doing this tonight. We're recording usually before our podcast. We're recording tonight mostly because you have a league that runs on our usual recording night. So, what goes into running leagues and further on from that, what do you put into things like tournament directing? And I mean, obviously it takes a team and you're one part of it, but obviously a big part of it. So,
I mean, the leagues are just fun. I mean, I love hosting league at Oat Goat. That's where it is tomorrow night when you guys are having this podcast live. But I mean, and that's just a fun place. And I'm really proud of that course. People love going there. It's a fabulous facility. So it's pretty easy to run league there. People like to come. People play disc golf there. We we have a licensed facility there, a restaurant there, indoor spaces, so that after league we can just sit around and have a beer and chat and play some silly games. So league's easy to run there. I still struggle with the formats in leagues. What makes people happy, what doesn't, whether people want to play singles all the time, play doubles. I try to mix it up a bit, but it's, leagues gather the full range of players. You get, the pure beginners that are just out for a fun evening and a chance to get away from the house or to go do something different for a bit, to people that are playing competitively and want to have a little more of a competitive action on a league night. So they're kind of tough. It's tough to figure out, but we're trying different things and trying to make people happy. Events are fun. I really enjoy running events. It's a thrill to see a course that you care about being enjoyed by 70, 100, even only 40 people some nights. That's just so much fun. So I really like hosting those events. I run them from a perspective of, I do this as a business. This is my job, working disc golf, doing disc golf. So I do run them efficiently. I run them to the point where there should be some money left over for the tournament directors after they're done. This is basically, I'm entertaining 70 people on a Saturday for 8 hours. And that's a job. Anybody that hosts events for any other part of the world doing anything, they get paid for that sort of thing. So I kind of run the events. It does help. I'm running them at a property like Oat Goat. That's really easy a lot of the time, or the Foxwood Open. Foxwood Open's killer. It's such an easy venue for us to run a giant event at. We pour a ton of energy into it, but luckily all the energy we pour into it is stuff that the players get to enjoy. It's the course improvements. It's adding special details on the course, making sure OB is marked and marked and marked again. Doing the rules sheets ahead of time so they're clear, so that everyone has a great time. Tournaments need to run well, and it's a job.
Yeah, I think any of our listeners who have ran a tournament are like, yes, that's like totally needs to be where the sport's going. I know there's still a few people that they want this stuff for free, or they want it for as little cost to them, but they don't quite understand how much work goes on behind the scenes, and it's a lot of work. And like you said, it's like a full-time job leading up to tournament. Even just running C tiers, it's like a full-time job for a week, at least a week or two. So, well, I mean, I'm totally in that boat where tournament directors we're at the point where I think tournament directors can be. I hope they can be expected to get a little bit of, at least a little bit of compensation, and and hopefully that only goes up from here, because the more you compensate a tournament director, like you said, the smoother the event will run. So
I mean, I'm sympathetic of the players that we can't keep driving up the cost of these tournaments, because the whole charm of disc golf is that it's cost effective, it's fast, you can go out and enjoy it in a much more casual way, as far as your clothing, your equipment, the commitment to it. So I do try and run them, so there aren't always all the extras that people are, that some people have gotten used to running. I mean, this past winter, and, even next week, I'm running I'm basically $17 or $20 C tier events on private property. And, half of that goes to greens fees for the property. And, $5 goes to the PDGA, and $5 I go and do some CTP prizes. And really that's about it. And they're fast. I keep the expectations low. No prizes, no player packs, nothing. Just come out, compete, get a rated round. And I think we could use a lot more events like that don't become these big onerous chores for people. Just, a bunch of people getting out and having fun and competing when they can.
Totally. Yeah, I ran a series of events in the month of April called the Rest Your Ratings, and it's kind of, that's the idea. And I had some disc stock that I had for a little while, and I was like, you know what, it's time to get rid of it all. So that was my players packs, and it was $30, and try to keep I call them low guff tournaments. Try to keep it as easy as possible for not just the players, but also the tournament directors and organizers. So
yeah. So one of the reasons why we're talking to you is because the Foxwood Open has completed another successful year. For people who maybe aren't as familiar with the Foxwood Open around Canada, what can you tell us about the history of the event?
Well, this was our third year operating it as the Foxwood Open. Foxwood, we call it the Foxwood Open because it's at a golf course called the Foxwood Golf and Country Club. That is a Gulf North property that I do work with, and it's a ball golf company. Gulf North manages probably 40 courses across, manages and owns 40 ball golf courses across Canada. And 2 of them in Ontario now have disc golf courses on them. A third one did for a while, but just didn't quite work out. So the Foxwood property was the first one I put a disc golf course on with the help of the Grand River Disc Golf Association guys. They were a fabulous crew to work with. And it's a big 18-hole course that matches the layout of the 9-hole white layout of the ball golf course. And it's a lovely layout. It has one set of tees, one set of baskets, but because you're on a ball golf course, even the ranked beginners love going out there to play because every throw is just nice. You're walking on beautiful grass. It's a great spot to be. So as part of that, because I work for Innova and it's Innova product on the course, I wanted to help prove to Gulf North that investing in disc golf was a worthwhile activity. So first year, ran a B tier for them there. And with the help of, the guys from Grand River Disc Golf, we made it a big event. I was able to convince the Innova head office, the folks, that we should have some USDGC qualifier spots that year because there weren't that many opportunities for Canadians to get them. And this was a good enough course to run it on. And so we got them. And that was a great draw. And we've been lucky enough to continue having the USDGC qualifying spots for the last few years. And in the second and third year, we've also added the Throw Pink qualifying spots for the Throw Pink Disc Golf Championship, which happens in the same week as the USDGC. And they just happen simultaneously down in Rock Hill. And in the last 2 years, just because I want everyone to have a good time, we added the NADGT qualifying status to this event. So 2 years in a row, Foxwood Open has been an NADGT qualifier. So every single player that shows up at the Foxwood Open is trying to qualify for a North America scale tournament, to different degrees in the life, but, such be life. We can only do so much.
Do you think the people in and around Baden have any idea, like the scale and importance of what's going on disc golf wise in their community once a year?
They're starting to get it. They've every year we're in the local media consistently. This year I think hopefully it seems like your podcast, not your podcast, but your production of the Foxwood Open is going to be available more publicly in the community. So they're going to get a really good chance to see it this year, thanks to you guys and the effort you're putting in. But the community knows we get great support from the local tourism board every year. Explore Waterloo has been a sponsor of the tournament, and they bring, financial help that we need to run a big event like this. These are expensive projects to run. When you start bringing in 230 people and you're entertaining them for 3 days straight, and, you're on a private course, so everyone has to make some money and greens fees and the like, it becomes a big project. So the community does hear about it. It's All the councillors know about it. All the local mayors know about it. And Waterloo certainly knows about it. Waterloo probably has more disc golf courses per capita than just about any city in Canada at the moment. I don't know whether that's exact, but there's a ton of disc golf going on. It's one of the few university campuses. University of Waterloo has a disc golf course that we put in a few years ago. It's a great training ground for players. Plus, I think at least 2 high schools in the Waterloo area have courses. They're just laying around down there.
Cool. And so you kind of briefly mentioned that Park Pro will be doing the production of the Foxwood Open, and that is actually the second stop in the Canadian Disc Golf Tour. What does it mean to be a part of the Canadian Disc Golf Tour, a part of this sort of, attempt to sort of nationalize, the sport and make it sort of more public, not just, it's spreading the word of all these tournaments, so people in Ontario can get to know the tournaments at BC and vice versa. And what does it mean for Foxwood to be a part of that?
Well, I think for us, what it's going to mean down the road is just there's so much legwork that goes into promoting a tournament, and there's so much effort, just to get it out there, to make people aware that it's worth coming north of the border to play a tournament up in Canada, whether you're jonesing for a USDGC spot or you're just looking for a reason to visit Canada. And doing it solo on a volunteer basis, as a small part of my larger job, it's tough for these event directors and, tournament organizers, even the committees, to just keep pumping out the stuff. So ideally, long-term, what this becomes is there's an overarching body that's helping promote all these events simultaneously. And therefore, when we get attached to a larger group of events, it's going to be a lot easier for us to walk into sponsors in the region again next year and go, by the way, this is part of this bigger event. Here's the poster. It's coming out, hopefully in January next year, the poster comes out, and then we can start using that as our stuff. The website's up, however you guys are, however it flushes out after this inaugural year, it has the potential to just take a whole bunch of logistics off of us, of having to go out and hound and generating the material to hound stuff. And, because a big part of running a tournament is finding, especially big tournaments, is finding the funding. Small tournaments, in my opinion, should be pretty much self-funded. It's, if we're running C tiers and modest B tiers, I mean, you can go get some sponsors, but, it's still, going to play a B tier on a weekend is really just your entertainment for the weekend. So you should really just pay for it. I don't think, public sponsorship dollars should be spent on, people. I joke a little bit about it, but, always on, guys like us that are going out to have some fun on the weekend. I think there's better ways to spend what's, when there's sponsorship dollars. But if we could offer promotional value to companies, which is what this tour should be able to offer now, when there's viewership, when there's people following it, when people are checking out websites and Instagram pages or whatever social media that has to do with the tour as a whole, well, now you have something to sell people. You're not just asking for donations, you're actually offering a service in a way. And I think that's where, this kind of needs to roll to if it's going to be successful down the road, so that our partners, no longer sponsors, they're partners.
Yeah.
They get value out of investing money in us. And, they tend to do it more generously than they probably get, but at least, there should be some value that goes back to the people that help support these events.
Totally agree. Cool. Yeah. Matt, you got any more questions?
Yeah, well, we'd be remiss if we didn't ask Mr. Innova Canada. You've got you can only take 3 Innova discs with you to a course somewhere. You don't know what kind of course it is. Could be a long course, could be a short course, could be open, could be tunnel. What are your top 3 discs that you're taking with you?
I'm taking my Halo Roadrunner, because that those babies won me the Foxwood Open a couple weeks ago when I played in the MP50 division. I was just throwing those like it was just silly. What else am I going to take now? I'm going to take a DXJ right now.
Okay.
I've been playing that a ton lately, and that's in my bag. And I throw putters, and I like throwing them far. So, oh no, you know what? I'm not going to do that. Maybe. Yeah, I'll take it. Screw the DXJ. I'm going to take my rats. I throw a lot of rats.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm going to be a rat about the DXJ. We'll make it the rat, and we'll go throw my JK AVRs.
Nice.
So,
Love
Rat
that.
man. Thank you for reminding us. We completely forgot to mention you are the reigning MP50 champion of the Foxwood Open. I don't think we got you on film too much out there this year,
no.
just because of the timing of the different pro cards. But congratulations! Is that your first win at the Foxwood?
First time I played.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
As a TD, you can't play these things. So
Yeah.
you said, I don't think I played. No. So, no, as a TD, you're not allowed to play A tiers or they don't even want you playing B tiers, I think, now.
Right.
Which makes sense. I mean, anytime I've tried to play a C tier and I'm TDing it, I usually play poorly.
Mm-hmm.
It's a ratings dump that day because
Totally.
you're too busy checking your phone and answering questions about OBs that people should understand.
Yeah.
Yep.
Makes sense. Cool.
All right. Well, is there anything else? The Foxwood Open just in the last few years has seen the likes of, Thomas Gilbert, Casey Hannemeyer, Eric Oakley, some big names out there. Anything else you want to say about to get people pumped for this year's Foxwood Open?
Well, I mean, it's such a gorgeous property. You just got to see it. They do a lot of disc golf on ball golf courses in the U.S., but they're generally on courses that aren't very green or lush.
Mm-hmm.
You go into southern Ontario over the May long weekend, and these properties are green. These are rich. The trees are thick. It plays like a disc golf course out there. And although there's lots of big space to let a disc fly, it is a course where you have to make your shots. And that's the challenge of designing a course on a ball golf course. And a good ball golf course, it just has, these are old wooded golf courses out here at Foxwood. So they're established. So they offered lots of variety. So they're really fun spectator, holes to watch on that property. And Foxwood just lets us have fun with it and do what we want for the weekend. So it's dressed up for the event. So
couldn't agree more. You gotta see it. It's there's big fairways, there's tiny tunnels, there's a lot of islands. If you like the risk reward of throwing onto an island over a lake, that's got all of that stuff in one course. So it makes for a very exciting watch.
It's a special spot. I'm going there to play again on Thursday this week. So
nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Darrell Bankes, thank you so much for joining us on Northern Flights. It was awesome to talk to you.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks for having me, guys.
Awesome. Take care.
That
was sweet.
That was great. That was Darrell Bankes from Innova Canada, and obviously representing the Foxwood Open. And yeah, that's definitely, when I get out to Ontario, I'm gonna have to check out that course because it sounds like a pretty awesome spot. It's not being where we're at. We don't get to play a lot of golf course style disc golf, so it's one of the reasons why I personally enjoy Mac Island, because it does have that park style kind of feel to it. So
yeah, it's got clean lines. It's not one of those golf courses that's in ill repair with like bald greens or anything like that. It is excellent course.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And just thinking about it, you can check out last year's Foxwood coverage that's already out, and it's just such a beautiful looking venue for disc golf. And like Andre was saying, we don't get that around here. So if you ever want to get out there and like try and throw a roller or something that typically doesn't work through rocks, sticks, pine needles, and pine cones, it's kind of the dream course for stuff like that.
Yeah.
And maybe, it's still an A tier, all that jazz for people out west. One of maybe the 3 tournaments in the country that's worth the cost of the plane ticket.
Yeah. And if you watched coverage, and I think this year's coverage will have it too, but there are some crazy rollers. Martin Handel threw down some crazy rollers last year, and Thomas Gilbert, I don't want to spoil it too much, but if you like discs that go like 100 feet past what should be a par 4, maybe watch this year's coverage.
Yeah, I know the layout this year had some holes around 1,000 feet, so I'm sure Thomas is just feasting out there.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. That will come out soon. And it was also kind of cool to get to know a little bit about his design side and how he kind of parlayed that all into, obviously working with Innova. So we got to know Darrell a little bit better, and it's just nice to see Innova putting an effort into getting involved in Canadian sports. So yeah. All right, we should move on to there was a Silver Series event not far from where we are here. I know a lot of people from Cranbrook and the area went down to watch, and it was the Zootown Open in Missoula, Montana. So Evan Scott takes the win on MPO with Clay Edwards and Anthony Barella. Clay Edwards finishing second and Anthony Barella and Ty Love finishing third on the MPO side. And obviously, well, not obviously, I don't know if you didn't hear it, it got the last round got canceled. So it only ended up being a 2-round event, and it's kind of interesting. So
it's like Big Germ's USDGC doesn't count. Evan Scott's got to come back and win another event.
There you go. He's already won one event this year. One Silver Series. Did he win?
No,
I have no idea.
He did well at a Silver Series recently.
Yeah, he did. He finished like second or third. I only know that because it was funny. I was kind of desperate in our fantasy disc golf league for a player, and I happened to pick Evan Scott up, and then he finished like second, and then I forgot about my lineup, and now he's finished first. So
I've still forgot about my lineup.
Yeah, I mean, we can have a little fantasy minute later because I'm pretty stoked.
Yeah. Hey! Don't you keep flipping past MPO.
I ain't gonna do it. We got some Canadians to talk about. Casey Hannemeyer showing up really well, finishing 13th in this event, and right behind Gannon Burr and a few other guys. So Gannon Burr, Kevin Jones, Ezra Robinson, some of the guys that you might recognize that are right just above him. So, and then obviously finishing ahead of a few really talented players as well. So
yeah, I think he was kind of feeling himself, and I've got a feeling he was one of the people that was looking forward to that third round for his opportunity to push into a top 10 spot, because he's only 2 strokes out of T8th with those guys you were talking about, and Colton Montgomery and Nico LaCastro. So it would have been quite the battle for the top 10 there.
Yeah, like I don't know how many times he's played that course, but just being from the Cranbrook area and playing some of the courses around here, you got to think that a course like that just suits his game because it's a type of golf that he's used to. So
oh yeah, it's definitely our kind of thing. But a lot of these guys have been coming back to play this course. He's not on the top of the leaderboard where I can see it, but like you'll get coverage of Garrett Gerthy playing this course half a decade ago, even further. Yeah, now we see he's finished T24th. But like a lot of guys have this stop kind of repeatedly on the tour. But in saying that, this also was like criminal way that they got done super dirty here. I don't know how. I'm losing my words because it's so upsetting to me that a lot of tour players dropped out of this like the night before, 2 or 3 days before the tournament. I think they lost 10 full-time tour players or something like that in the week leading up to the tournament. It's a shame.
I feel like, because it's starting to happen more and more, and I think if you've got a tour card and you can just sort of freely sign up to all these events, there should be some sort of punishment for not showing up to the event. Like you should have to pay for the registration for that event if you don't show up, because it's brutal for the event, like the TD and all the event staff to be expecting 50 professionals from the tour to show up that don't show up.
Yeah, even like from a promotional standpoint, because I do know the TD of this event just a little bit. You're wanting it for promotional stuff, right? You want your hometown to get the the pro stop experience with all the pro guys out signing autographs, shaking hands and stuff like that. And the guys that did come were obviously big names and great to have them out there, but it could have been more. And it's a shame that it was so last minute that they dropped out. I've heard that there was potential for 18 hours required travel after this event, just the way the mapping all works out. And I've got a feeling people with full schedules might have chose this one to drop because of that. Or maybe they looked at the weather forecast and all the lightning coming.
Probably combination.
Yeah. But there, I mean, I don't know if we know or not, but maybe there were people that could have signed up that didn't sign up.
Totally could have. And I don't know. It's just such a different course than you see from 90% of the other tour stops that I want to see the top 1% of the tour play on this terrain and this style course. And I feel like we were almost robbed of it with the amount of people that dropped out last minute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really too bad. And obviously too bad they couldn't finish out that third round because there were some Canadians that were starting to climb the board, had better second rounds than they did in the first. So Ben Loggins still managed to finish in the cash, it looks like. So finished in a tie for 34th. And then
with Chris Clemens.
Yeah, and I know that Noah was kind of making a charge. He had a bit of a rough first round, but then his second round was much better. I think he finished 7 strokes better in his second round. So
well, you really have to feel for Noah. I'm not sure if you're close enough with him or if you have Noah on social media, but his family dog passed away while he was traveling to the tournament, like the day before. And I can't imagine trying to go out there and be totally focused on your game when you've essentially lost one of your little family members.
Yeah, it's really too bad. Condolences to obviously Noah and his family, Rebecca. So that's a super unfortunate situation, but like I said, he was kind of making a charge, and I do believe he had started playing when they called it, and he was doing pretty good. So unfortunate for him, he couldn't climb that leaderboard a little bit more, and then Thomas Kuhn wasn't too far behind him, so Noah finished 52nd and Thomas finished 54th. And then I believe Timon was having himself a much better third round as well, so shout out to him as well.
Yeah, he ended up in 76 there. I sent him like one text message because I am a terrible texter, and he said it was just a great experience overall being out there playing the course in that environment. And
totally. And like, it's kind of funny. You look on the footage and there's a lot of people from Cranbrook that just went down and watched, and you can see them in the background. So yeah.
I like the screen grab that's got Chris Keach and
yeah, Bruce.
And Bruce. Yeah.
Yeah. Love
just hanging out.
Yeah. Over on the FPO side, this is kind of interesting thing. There weren't any Canadians in it. I thought that was kind of funny, and we kind of touched on it in the last podcast. And hopefully events like this where you think Missoula is one of those ones that it's a bit of a closer one for a few people to travel to, so it's one that you hope to see more Canadians on, and hopefully we'll see that in the future. So
totally. I just think that our more tour inclined FPO players aren't in this part, right?
Mm-hmm.
Christy maybe in a FP40 situation, which obviously wasn't part of this event, but to get like a Julie Mowens, Gabby Lee type that we just saw in the TCO coverage, you got to be way west, and then before we catch up with more competitive FPO again, you're going all the way to Ontario. So.
Yeah, totally. On the FPO side though, Kristen Tatar takes it down, continuing her dominance of the FPO division this year.
Who?
Missy Gannon.
I'm not familiar with her.
Yeah.
Is she good?
Who dat? Who dat?
Is she as good as Katrina Allen, or?
Not in this event, that's for sure, because Missy Gannon finished second and Katrina Allen finished third. So
yeah, it's kind of an interesting leaderboard for the FPO side because it's such a small field for this event with only 21 FPO there. I was getting very excited to see Masters Legends Juliana Korver sneaking up to the top 10, but that's also like third last cash or tied for second last cash.
Yeah.
Konopanis, Montgomery missing the cash, adding to her kind of turbulent season.
But the putting was up over 50%. So
hey, that's good. I like
Yeah.
to see progress in that for her. Yeah, the only other two names that didn't make cash that you'd know are Jess Weiss and Deanne Carey.
Yeah, and there were a couple of Montana locals and Jesse Prado Smith and Victoria Gannon that were also there.
And Erica Stinchcomb.
Erica Stinchcomb, right? Yeah, there you go. Cool. Guys, got anything else on the Zootown?
Oh, there's one. Was it Cam Messerschmidt? Maybe someone showed up like 6 holes or 7 holes late. Got par +4 for every hole for the first 6, and then like he shot. What does it say? He got a 90 in the first round, and then a 59 in the second round.
Crazy.
It's kind of a fun one. And then what did James Conrad do in round 1 there? Because I'm pretty sure he was 5 down through 4.
Yeah,
to start the tournament.
Sure.
I don't know if it was an ace or if it was an eagle or something crazy, because we did see that pre-tournament ace on hole 1 from what's his face there, Andrew Marweed, 630-foot ace. Or
Oh yeah, right.
Real crazy one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think if we can see hole by hole, I'd love to see what James did in that first round, because I was watching the Central Coast coverage, and yeah, James Conrad eagled hole 3.
Yeah, birdie, eagle, birdie to start.
Tapered off a bit afterwards, but boy, that's a pretty hot start. A soft par 4 as well. It's like a downhill weave through the trees one, but 5 down through 4.
Yeah. Looks like he was probably the only eagle.
Christian Dietrich got it as well, I believe.
Oh, we did have an ace, Marty Grant.
Because Christian got it on the coverage in round. I think. Maybe I'm thinking of a different hole.
Must be a different hole.
Then maybe.
Few aces. I see some scattered ones as we're looking through the scores here.
So speaking of Juliana Korver, on the back of back-to-back top 10 finishes, she's up to 24th in the Pro Tour standings this year. She was kind of pumped to get her Silver Series Tour card, like earn the Silver Series Tour card on the course. But when she came back, she said her goal was to make the Pro Tour playoffs. It's top 20, make it through this year in the Pro Tour playoffs, and she's 24th.
Getting there.
Wow.
That's close.
Ahead of players like Stacey Haas, Jen Allen, Evelina Salonen, Vanessa Van Dyken, Madison Walker, Anniken Steen, and Luca Lawrenson, Alexis Mondahano, Kona Montgomery. Like she's, yeah.
It's interesting because I was having a conversation with one of the guys that works for Gatekeeper Media, actually. It was about 2 weeks ago now. And he said on like pure throwing skill, Juliana is top 3 on the FPO tour. And apparently her putting is very not good. We haven't seen it on coverage because she hasn't made it. But he said if Juliana Korver had a putt like Paige or Kristen or any of like the top players, or even worse, she's finishing top 3 in every event for the year, which to me is crazy. When you're an older player, you'd think the maybe less physical putting would be your strength than the more physical full power throw and stuff. But apparently she can get it out there and she can hit any line you put in front of her.
Yeah, I think Johnny McRae's kind of, I don't know if he's in the same boat that the putting is sort of what lets him down on the course, but he's in his 50s and he still shreds lines.
Oh, yeah. He shreds do the Johnny Turbo putt. If people are newer disc golfers listening and haven't heard, Johnny McRae is now MP50 age, and you can watch clips of him hitting like 80-foot turbo putts through trees. It's just the craziest thing ever. He's such a skilled player.
And if you're Googling him, don't look up the name Johnny, like Johnnny, and don't look up the name John E, like E is his middle initial. Mm-hmm. His full first name is John E.
John capital E.
Yeah.
I love it.
I have never seen any other John E's spelled that way before.
What do they call him? Disc Golf Santa Claus?
Yeah.
I think he might have shaved his beard, but he had the most glorious nipple length beard and just did crazy stuff on the golf course. And also wears like a bandana under his hat, all gangster style as a 50-year-old. The man, the myth, the legend.
Legend. Had a heart attack, came back the same year, started winning tournaments.
Was winning tournaments 6 months after having a heart attack that put him out. Big time put him out.
Mm-hmm. Gotta love to see that.
Say the
Legend.
comeback kid, but like the comeback grandpa.
Actually, legend of disc golf. All right, we do have a big tournament coming up this weekend as well. It's the Dynamic Disc Open, and that's the one on this side of the ocean. There's also the Kona Piste in out in Europe. So, in this on this side of the ocean, we have two Canadians playing, and that's obviously Thomas Gilbert and Max Riganig. So those are the only two Canadians playing in this event in both the MPO and FPO divisions. You guys got anything on this this tournament?
I'd rather watch Kona Piste. I don't like the country club course. I don't find it interesting. And if it's windy, like Kansas windy, it's kind of like fun, like watching a car wreck is fun, but it's not my favorite stop on the tour. What's the other course called?
Well, I've only looked at signing up as an amateur, and there's like 40 courses you have to play. So,
right.
Country Club, Jones East,
Jones, yes,
West.
Jones Gold, Jones Supreme. Wasn't it Jones Supreme last year?
Yes, I think so.
More interesting course,
but like harder to play in the wind too, because they're asking you to pull a disc 500 feet between two trees with OB on the backside.
Yeah.
Wait, that sounds like.
Are they still doing the Mandy Landy on the first hole? Like you got to step up to the first tee and land it on a little island downhill. Are they still doing that this year?
I would love to know. It's been so long since I actually sat down and watched an entire DDO or GBO, because I watched the front nine of the first round. It's a miserable slugfest because of the wind.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just not enjoyable to come back to and watch for me. And it's a shame, and I don't want to rip on them too hard, because I know they put a ton of time and effort to redesigning that course to keep it up with tour standards every year. But I think the tour might have just outgrown what they've got going on at Country Club, and making it harder with tighter OB every year doesn't necessarily make it a better or more appropriate experience when they've got weather like that.
A lot of people complain about artificial OB, and I'm kind of, from strictly a viewer's perspective, I'm kind of on board with the complaint. Like I have mixed feelings about it, but if you're watching and they're throwing down the fairway of a ball golf hole and the disc lands perfectly in the middle of the fairway, and the commentators go, "Oh, wow, he's 80 feet out of bounds." And you're like, it's just like a cognitive dissonance, like they have these little white stakes or white, marking flags on the fairway. And it takes away some of the excitement and the stakes, like if the fairway isn't visually delineated, it takes away from the viewing. Like that's what makes golf fun, is like you can see the ball go and it's in this nice green area of short stuff, good. Oh, it's in this like other color green area of long stuff, bad. But it's like, just from a gameplay perspective, I don't really care too much, and I think a lot of times like it's the only way to make a course good and playable up to the standards. But just from a strictly viewing perspective, artificial OB where there's the only thing delineating OB from IB is little white marker flags is not that exciting to watch.
It's interesting because I think it's an enhancement for viewing, actually. But I'll explain myself, because I also agree with you, is that it's very readable for a casual viewer. I've watched the disc cross this plane. I know this is out of bounds. Like we were talking in previous episodes about having where we are on the fairway, so I know if this is a good shot or not for someone that doesn't know the course already. you kind of get this instant feedback of, oh, this is bad because it went out early. You know exactly what the error was and what happened from a viewing perspective. However, a great shot and a bad shot, one's not more like, for my monkey brain, more visually appealing than the other. It didn't pipe the gap, and I didn't get that little hit of endorphins or whatever because, oh boy, like he actually did it. My brain stays the same, and I go, okay, he's going to take 4 steps back into that white flag and throw into this open field again.
Yeah. That's
So
the best way to describe it. It's like from an emotional perspective, it's not as fun. From a logical perspective, like, yeah, great, it's fun. Like you got to know, and you on coverage, you got to really clearly show like where the landing zones are, especially if they don't visually match the physical surroundings of the golf course, which usually they don't.
And I wonder, maybe that's why that the island hole at Country Club, like the island hole of all island holes, feels so exciting when you get up to it because you've just gotten through. I can't remember. Was that hole A? I can't remember what hole it is now.
16 is the
16. Oh God, that tells you. Yeah, you've gone through so many holes of just seeing fairway, 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 and now you've got a ton of water and this island, and like now my monkey brain is jumping around, and I'm excited, and it's just so far above everything else that you've viewed previously there.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think this, like, this debate we're having about, well, I feel like we're all in agreement, but the debate about artificial out of bounds kind of always comes up right around this tournament, and then again at USDGC, and I think that's one of those things that I think USDGC started to do a little bit better last year, is making sure that you could visually see the difference.
Yeah, so they did a ton of work stringing off the OB instead of just using marker flags, and I know it must be an insane amount of work stringing off a whole bunch of holes, but it makes a huge difference from a viewing perspective.
Well, and didn't they use the big white rocks as well? Was that just started last year?
I think so, yeah. And maybe someone just has to go with like a bunch of like weeds or something, or maybe they just don't have to. They could stop weeding the out of bounds area at the country club, and that'll make it more visual.
I think it's still used as a country club and golf course.
Sucks to be them.
Yeah. We get this place for a week, and it's going to be dandelions everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the other difference between that and Winthrop at USDGC. Winthrop's not built on a golf course, so you don't have these like pre-made visual cues of good shot, bad shot already.
Like I said, the big rocks, I think, help it be very readable. And even, not that I've played there, I think as a player, having like a larger object delineating the OB gives you a little bit more depth perception when you're walking up to play it. Because one thing that they do a lot more at Winthrop than they do at Country Club is the shapes on the OB at Winthrop are kind of crazy. They're always S-ing and twisting around, where I find the Country Club stuff is much more straightforward. Straight line here, don't go left of this thing. And I think that's another way to maybe bring a little bit more excitement into it. Like, oh, we're carrying the OB the whole way. I'm over top of the rocks. I got to get in this tight S landing zone, which obviously there's OB carry to be had at Country Club, but it's very much, I need to push this disc 450 feet and have it land down there. Not, I need to get this weird touchy shape to land in this spot, or, so on and so forth.
Totally.
Yep.
All right. Well, before we close out this episode, we do have a giveaway that we have to take care of here. And
hey,
I don't know if you want
to yes, this is that Thomas Gilbert Coalesce we were talking about last week. Again, like it's
great.
It's much prettier in real life, and it's still pretty on camera.
The photo does a little bit better job of showing it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's much bluer.
Yeah,
it looks kind of brown here.
Yeah, that's that has to do with my camera. But so the giveaway was on it was on our Instagram account, and all you had to do was make sure you follow us on Instagram, subscribe to YouTube, and then comment and tag someone. And so we have 24 people from Instagram, and then obviously our patrons, there's 17 there. So I'm going to ask you guys I'll ask one of you who wants to pick a number here, and then I'll find out who won.
Do it up, Jesse.
Pick a number between 1 and 41.
Did Vegas just win the Stanley Cup?
Vegas won. Yep.
What number was the goalie wearing?
I don't know.
That's the number.
Aiden Hill. I know his name.
I did not watch a single game of the Stanley Cup Finals for the first time in a decade.
But seriously, shout out to Vegas Golden Knights because they did it faster than the Canucks did. So.
Yeah, those jerseys on the back are gonna get flopped over to Vegas for the rest of the season now.
Yeah.
I'm going so fast for this goal.
I did see a bunch of flamingos on the ice. That must have been one of their playoff things.
Oh, Quick got traded there.
Yes, he did.
Who played in the
final? It would have been Aiden Hill.
Aiden Hill played in the final game?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he's been playing lights out all playoffs. That's
number 33.
33. All right. And that looks like that will be Hayden Logan, a new patron as of little while ago. He's a new $5 patron. Congrats to Hayden. He wins the Thomas Gilbert Coalesce. And don't forget, if you sign up for Patreon, you are automatically entered to win all of these giveaways. And we have so many giveaways, we may as well give another one away this week. So Hayden wins the Thomas Gilbert and Coalesce, and the next one up we have a Casey Hannemeyer Rocket Bear disc here.
Wait, are we gonna give away the other ones I bought for express giveaway purposes?
Oh, sure.
I got a Noah Higgins FX4.
All right. Noah Higgins FX4.
Which I think we should give away when Big Bear coverage comes out for no particular reason.
All right. What else you got?
I also got a Terry Hong Twin Swords.
All right. Terry Hong. She's currently the leader of the Canadian Disc Golf Tour. We're giving away a Terry Hong Twin Swords.
There we go.
From Yukon.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have it here for the photo, but we'll get Jesse to take a photo and we'll post that to our socials. How should we give this one away? YouTube comments?
Something.
Yeah, YouTube comments. I like it.
YouTube comments. So
See who made it this far.
Yeah, hit up this episode.
If you're listening on Spotify, just head over to the YouTube afterward and scroll all the way to the end of the video.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess you don't even have to. Just comment.
Just comment.
Yeah. Well, I listen to the
subscribe. Make sure you subscribe. But yeah, we will we'll take a look at the comments there and pick someone from there. So yeah, all right, cool. And we'll post it to social media so you can see what it looks like, and yeah, we'll go from there. So
love it.
All right, awesome. This has been episode 25 of the Northern Flights. Take us out, Matt.
From all of us here at Parked Pro, whether it be intelligence or out of bounds, artificial is always worse.
Oh,